The stock cost will take off now. The new Model 3 High Country is sent off well. Essentially, I suspected as much would occur, or possibly get a lift yet. No, the stock cost is down. And that is a result of the drops, and the cost for the sinks, which currently fit the bill for the tax break importance, they're down an extra $700,000 after these drops, which makes them excellent worth, and FSD has descended in cost excessively. The Model 3 anyway is presently more costly, which is what I proposed could occur, and logical will be more costly in the US too. Like I was expecting, my conjecture was around $45,000 for the back tire drive, while costs are down too. What happens when costs rise and expenses diminish? Edge expands a ton. Obviously, lower loan fees would mean a further cost rise and more edges to one day to come. Clearly now, when the Model A gets its facelift, it also will cost less to fabricate, and the cost will rise again. Edges up for that vehicle, we could see edges up to mid-20, with practically no financing cost drops for the 3 and Y. Sure, Model S and X are down a digit now, yet they are turning out to be moderately increasingly small dealers as the 3 and I keep on sloping. In any case, the stock has not in the least done nothing. It is down a sensible sum. This is just another evidence that the market doesn't react the way Tesla wants it to. I don't think this was a purchase made on the basis of vendor rumors either, as it didn't really function that well with the rumors. In addition, the car has outperformed expectations based on reports. Aside from the battery not being larger, but still offering about 10% more range through various efficiencies, it's also obvious that the Model Y will be remembered for these many updates in the near future, which will make that vehicle even more competitive. This is a significant update for a Tesla, considering how well known the new Model S and X were at the time of their facelifts. Tesla increased the price by an enormous amount. Although the price has recently decreased, the Model S is still $75,000. The previous model was, if you recall, $694, and that lower price was also, presumably, during a period of lower financing costs. Therefore, people are ultimately paying more than $10,000 for a new Model S than for the previous model, even when we account for higher loan payments. At this point, the vehicle satisfies all requirements for the tax reduction request. But if this is any indication, the Model 3 will currently be more expensive for some time, and surprisingly, higher when rates are lower. I'm a little anxious. The Model 3 presentation may have been discontinued because it doesn't seem to be available for purchase as a High Country. There is the long-reach adaptation, but I think that if a Model 3 Highline execution exists, it sounds very appealing to buy. In that case, I may need to redesign because I think the new Model 3 is really good and revives the plan with those few extra elements. I really like it, and it will probably have about 10 more reach and be able to go from 0 to 60 in less than 3 seconds. In fact, they might not even call it the exhibition form. Rather, they might call it the Plaid. If it had air suspension too, which is a possibility but unlikely at this point, the Model Y would be comparable to the world's best car. And remember that the Corolla does this with a lot more variants, such as hatchback cars. Thus, Model Y is the only variety, and while there are 3 adaptations, there are only 2 options available for purchase, and no industry exists to market all 3 of them. What I'm trying to say is that if I were this excited about the Model 3 and had the extra cash to spend on an overhaul, they might try to add a few extra elements that aren't in the Model 3 to see what kind of an impact the Model Y could have. The new Model Y will be extraordinary. It will be a genuinely cool vehicle. Request will increment, and possible Tesla can raise the cost by 10 for it, despite the fact that it will likewise imply that when Tesla can really increase Berlin, Texas, and there ought to be sufficient interest now without diminishing costs from what they are presently given this extra 10 cost increment as a cushion, and in the event that Tesla have figured out how to reduce expenses on the Model Y too, and it ought to permit a considerably greater support. Obviously, there are such countless costs passed on to cut from Berlin and Texas, given how they're just at 33% limit. Still, when they increase, then at long last Tesla will hit much better economies of scale from those processing plants, and edges will expand at any rate. Obviously, yes. It's the 4680 slope we're looking out for there, a cell that when sloped ought to likewise save $2,000 or $3,000 on the battery of every vehicle too. So to explain for the Model I, there is as yet the cheaper battery to come. There's as yet the economies of scale from these new cutting-edge offices that we desire to see wrap one day, yet 4680s resemble FSD. Elon keeps saying that they will incline in a year or two, or in the not-too-distant future. But it never happens. and we'd never find out why. Hopefully, for the upcoming year, according to Elon's most recent 4680 update, I say most recent because it was actually January, we have had the Texas lines turn on and the digital Cell 2 installed. I really need some evidence that they can slope these deals, because I feel like the EV market is still in a transitional state at that point, and since Tesla depends on LFP deals, which are from CL, I'm confident that when the processing plant is wrapped, it can wrap up another 2 million units annually. If they receive $10,000 in net benefit per vehicle, that's a monstrous figure in the financials, and that's without 4680 sloping, though we haven't seen anything in that field yet. In any case, if General Tesla can gain 5% more edge on the vehicles and perhaps a slightly higher ASP 1 year from now, that will essentially be some improvement and is supposed to be the main way Tesla will increment benefits 1 year from now up to this point. The production line doesn't appear to be working at this time. Maybe them 3P cells are reserved for the new Model Y. And maybe that is where this new 66 kilowatt-hour battery is supposed to go, assuming Tesla wound up involving a 66 kilowatt-hour battery in a back tire drive Model Y, and assuming that they made comparative effectiveness enhancements, as they did with the Model 3, then the Model Y back tire drive could truly be moving toward a 300-mile range, which would be totally insane. And the battery may just cost around $1,000 more or so, and really might be underlying yet getting considerably more reach makes it significantly more significant than the LOP cells that we use in the Model Y would go into the Super Pack production lines. And we could see that income develop there. In the meantime, we have the digital hurl, likely a money here for the primary portion of the following year, however ultimately creating some extra gain. And that before the year's over, Tesla's financials could truly be getting very great. And this would be with practically no new plants delivering any result, or without even the 46 vortexes. Sloping a digital truck can slope with Panasonic's 4680 deals, which will be energy thick enough. In any case, ideally, the digital truck doesn't suck out a lot of this extra benefit, and we truly get to see it yet. There is an opportunity we truly could see some benefit increments, particularly assuming that Cal's new production line begins delivering deals for Tesla, and we see some fair Uber Pack income. I haven't looked over the data yet, but by the end of the year, benefits might be up by 100 to 150 from the previous quarter, with Tesla currently having a percentage of 70. That would lower the test proportion to about 30 at the current price of the stock. The biggest event of all should be the Gen 3 uncovering of what will be the greatest selling vehicle in history. We will find what billions of dollars and a long time of research and development of the best specialists on the planet has made in a vehicle that has never had the economies of scale known to any vehicle before. Well, that's obviously just figuring out these ongoing things, which is exactly what's on the cards now. Nevertheless, we're talking about an additional 16 months of a wide range of different occasions that ought to happen between now and the end of the following year.